Hopes and fears. Nebraska farmers share their thoughts on the new president. We grow deeper with a look at how the Trump administration may handle ethanol and regulations. Plus, this blustery weather creates concerns for cattle, even goats. We'll hear from producers. And a local student completes a unique internship. Meet our Farm Youth of the Month ahead on Grow. Protection for farmers or a midnight attack? We kick off Grow with a look at new USDA regulations. The Ag Department says the rules will protect family farmers from big meat packers, especially in the poultry industry. American Farm Bureau says it'll help level the playing field and hold packers accountable. But pork producers call it a midnight rule, saying President Obama is attacking rural America for helping elect Donald Trump. The nation's cattlemen aren't as colorful in their statement, but do say the rule would limit how producers market their cattle. Next will be a 60-day period to submit comments on the proposed rules. In one key area, Nebraska farmers think the Trump administration will be friendly to their position on regulations. Here's more. You often hear it from Nebraska farmers who say the EPA is out of control.
When we think about what keeps us up at night, that is one of the things.
Farmer Mark McHarg says that's one area where President-elect Trump may be friendly to their cause.
One of the things that are very burdensome is regulations, especially if you look over the last couple of years, WOTUS, some of the EPA regulations, you talk about atrazine, all these different things.
Oklahoma Attorney General Scott Pruitt calls himself a leading advocate against what he calls the EPA's activist agenda, the very agency he's been nominated to run.
He has fought back. He's got a track record of that. So you take waters of the U.S. That is already in place, so it cannot be a stroke of the pen by President-elect Trump. But the enforcement of it and how it goes forward is on President Trump.
Jane Klebb of Bold, Nebraska challenges the pick of someone who has questioned the science of climate change. Klebb tells us, quote, even Trump's daughter understands climate change is real, and for rural states we need real solutions. Appointing big oil execs, Wall Street CEOs, and climate deniers is not the change people voted for in this past election. Environmental causes worry the EPA will roll back regulations, but what some fear, farm groups say is one of their biggest hopes under the new administration.
Regulatory reform legislation is going to be coming very, very soon, and we're hopeful that it will pare this back that we've had to deal with for over the past 8 years.
But another appointment causes concern for farmers. Donald Trump will pick former Texas Governor Rick Perry to head the Energy Department, the same department Perry once said he wanted to eliminate. He also said he's not a fan of the renewable fuel standard. Todd Sneller, head of the ethanol board, says this might be trouble for biofuels.
It's been a very important sector for the agricultural economy, as well as for motorists who are given a chance to have fuels other than just conventional gasoline at the pump. So we're hoping going forward that we do have a domestic focus on our energy needs and energy production. And if we have a balance in that, the ethanol industry will compete well. If we have policy that tilts away from domestic renewable biofuels, that's going to be a difficult challenge for agriculture. It's going to be a difficult challenge for the ethanol sector.
To see the entire interview, go to our website, nebraska.tv. A once idle ethanol plant here in Hamilton County, where I'm at this week, strengthens ties with a local co-op. Aurora Cooperative and Pacific Ethanol are creating a new company that brings together the Pacific Ethanol plant and Aurora West Grain Elevator, which were built side by side. The plant was run by Aventine, who went through bankruptcy and let the plant sit idle before Pacific took over. Aurora Co-op will handle the corn on behalf of the ethanol plant. Co-op leaders say it'll create new marketing opportunities for growers. Aurora Co-op is contributing $30 million in cash and assets for a 26% stake in the new company. Pacific will own the rest. Now to our poll question. How often do you use ethanol in your vehicles? Once in a while or all the time? Follow us on Twitter to cast your votes. And now to the results of last week's poll question. For those who live and work on the farm or ranch, we wanted to know if you have other income off the farm. And the vast majority of you say yes. In one of the biggest responses we've had yet to a poll question. Only 28% of farmers and ranchers who responded say their only income is on the farm. Most say they or a spouse or both have other income. Now to the blustery conditions that have cattlemen working overtime. Nebraska Extension educators say snow, high winds, and the cold temperatures we're seeing this weekend increase the cows' energy requirements. We have snow and wind chills as low as 25 below this weekend, according to the Weather Service. Experts say it's important to provide cattle with wind protection and extra feed to deal with the bitter cold. We've got links on our website with more information for cattle producers. From cows to goats, caring for those animals out in the cold, NTV's Tara Gibbons has a closer look.
Cold is approaching us, and this farmer is trying to keep his 85 goats happy and healthy.
First thing you do, you take care of make sure that they're out of the wind, and you make sure that they're dry. So we make sure that we've got plenty of room in our spaces out here for them to get out from any moisture that might happen and to be able to block the wind.
Carrie says making a checklist is the go-to task. Being prepared is the key for a successful plan.
When the cold was called for, we came up, we brought up fresh bedding, and we took care of that. We got our heaters out in our water tanks.
Carrie tells me if they're isolated away from their herd, they may be stressed from the cold.
Sick animals tend to isolate, so they're not going to be with the rest of them. And maintaining that heat. They tend not to eat as much. Again, you want to make sure they've got plenty in them to generate body heat.
He also says this is more work for him, but if you do it right the first time, the next time it will be easy. All it takes is planning and getting things done.
Thanks, Tara. In other news, the U.S. challenges China over quotas on corn, rice, and wheat. This week, the Obama administration took the issue to the World Trade Organization, an effort backed by Nebraska Congressman Adrian Smith. Smith says it's not the first or the last time the rules will have to be enforced against China. He says the world's largest country routinely adopts unscientific regulations on biotech crops and puts excessive market pressure on agricultural commodities. And with low crop prices here, members of Congress say that hurts American farmers. A Buckeye joins the Huskers to be part of a dream team. Dr. Mike Boehm joins the University of Nebraska on January 1st as Vice President of the Institute of Agriculture and Natural Resources. He recently traveled the state to see the university's impact. Boehm says the reason he came was to work with UNL's new Chancellor, Ronnie Green, who announced he was building a dream team.
I knew pretty much when I saw that interview that I needed to be a part of his team, and didn't know much about Nebraska at the time, but I've been doing my homework since about July, and every step of the way, the more I learn, the more excited I get.
He's considered an authority on plant diseases and holds several patents, and says the university is focused on global challenges.
Food for health, obesity, healthcare, diabetes, think about energy and sustainability. All of these issues, the Institute of Ag and Natural Resources at University of Nebraska plays a key role.
In addition to programs on campus in Lincoln, he will oversee Nebraska Extension and the College of Technical Agriculture in Curtis. University of Nebraska scientists sound the alarm about the demand for grain in sub-Saharan Africa. Experts say sub-Saharan Africa is too complacent and is not keeping up with skyrocketing population growth. The region produces about 80% of the grain it now consumes, but research by the University of Nebraska finds the existing farmlands won't keep up. The analysis shows a need for sustainable irrigation, plus roads, water pipelines, research, and access to credit for African farmers. What the researchers don't want is for Africa to transform rainforests to farmland. 10 farmers and ranchers from across the state have been selected to take part in the Nebraska Farm Bureau Leadership Academy. The selected farmers and ranchers will begin a year-long program next month. The goal is to develop leaders who can make a positive impact for Nebraska agriculture. They will also travel to Washington, D.C. to meet with Nebraska's congressional delegation. The group includes members from Alda, Axtell, Broken Bow, Clarks, and Stromsburg, among other communities. Still to come, higher fees to show livestock at the state fair. We'll explain. And we head to Phillips, Nebraska to meet our farm youth